Morning everyone, it's our last lesson for the week, woohoo! So let's get stuck in. These are the things you need to go and grab. Sheet 13, sheet 14, sheet 15, this is what they look like. Your writing book with red and blue lines, you'll need glue, pencil, eraser. Go and grab those things and come back. Now these sheets are sheet 8 and sheet 11, you would have already used those in previous lessons, so they'll be stuck into your book. We're going to be looking at these because they're fully completed examples of what you're working towards today. So we're going to refer back to them. So when it comes time for you to be writing your own draft of the character description, I would be consulting this. Okay, just checking back and comparing yours and getting some ideas from it. So a quick reminder about your whole body listening. Make sure you're trying to keep your body still. Eyes are looking, ears are listening. Okay, so today you are learning how to use a character profile sheet to write sentences. So on that character profile sheet, if I just skip back here, it's got the bullet points here. They're not in, those words are not in sentences. We're going to take these and put them into sentences. Okay, so year one, you're going to have a slightly different way of completing the sheet. So to be successful, you're going to add some of your own ideas onto your sheet, so sheet 13, and you're going to put those words into sentences on sheet 14. All right, so grab out sheet 13. We are going to put some extra ideas in here. So this column here says what Princess Elizabeth, how she has been represented in The Paper Bag Princess. So beautiful, happy, smiling, etc. This is the column that we are creating ourselves. So this is the alternative description. We've made her a mean princess. Okay, so the first couple of rows here have been filled out for you. We are going to be filling out the thoughts and the actions. So year one, year two, we're still doing this bit together. So in here, in thoughts, you need to come up with some ideas on what your character could be thinking during the story, because remember, we made her mean, so what are some mean thoughts? So you're going to put some bullet points in here, your own ideas. If you're stuck, I've put a couple of ideas. You don't need to copy mine at all, but if you're really struggling to think this morning because it's Friday and you've had a long week, you can. All right, so I've put down that she thinks that she's better than others, because that's not a very nice thing for anybody to think about themselves. And I've put down that she wants to rule. No, that's not necessarily evil. She just wants to be a boss, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and here you're going to come up with some actions. So what's your character going to do? What's the mean thing that she's going to do? So in the real story, she tricks a dragon and helps save the prince. Your character might not save the prince. Okay, I've put down that she's going to let the dragon eat the prince at the end of the story. I think that might be a fun way to end the story. So you get to come up with your own ideas here. Pause the video, jot down your ideas, and when you have done that, come back. Okay, so year one, I've changed your sheet just a little bit. So if you're in year two, you can skip ahead a bit if you don't want to listen to this. So you're going to fill in sheet 14. So you're going to write in the name of the character here. So Princess Elizabeth. You're going to leave that bit blank because that doesn't apply to us. And we're going to give this a title. So I've called it the Mean Princess. You might want to come up with something slightly different. You might say the Evil Princess, or the, oh, I don't know, my brain's not working very well, sorry. Come up with another synonym there for mean. Introductory statements. So you're going to just write in here what the character looks like. So in the sheet that we had before, it says ugly, miserable, scowling, frowning. So you need to come up with some ideas here, and you need to write a sentence here to describe what the character looks like. So you'd say Elizabeth is an ugly and miserable princess. Okay? So borrow the words from the sheet. So I've done that here. So here's ugly, miserable, scowling, frowning. So you put some of those words into a sentence. Remember your capital letter and your full stop at the end of the sentence. If you are feeling creative, you might want to use an exclamation mark. Okay? And the next bit So on the next part of the sheet, it's got 3 boxes that you're going to fill out. I've changed them a little bit. So here, you're going to write what's the character thinking about. So I put down here that she thinks she's better than others and that she wants to rule. So I've put that into a sentence over here. So my sentence says, Elizabeth thinks she would make an excellent queen. Full stop. She thinks she is better than other people. Full stop. So up to you how you write that. Pause the video, think about your sentences, write them in. Okay, and then here you're going to write what did the character do. So you need to have some actions. So I put down that she lets the dragon eat the prince. So I've got to put that into a sentence. So here's my sentence. At the end of the story, Elizabeth lets the dragon eat the prince. Okay, so I've got my capital letter and my full stop. Okay, so the next bit says, how do you feel about the character? You might like your character. You might not like your character. Up to you what you write here. You might say, I like my character because she doesn't fit the stereotype of a princess. Or you might say, I don't like my character because she lets a dragon eat a prince. Okay, so come up with your own creative ideas there. Year 2, yours is a little bit different. So if you're in year 1, you can skip forward now. There is a little video on editing your work at the end, so you can skip through this bit. So this is just for year 2. Okay, so yours is a little bit different. So you're going to be writing your name of your character here. Princess Elizabeth. Now, what event from the original story are you going to change? Where's the page on the Paper Bag Princess? Or you can just write in there which part of the story it is. So if it's the part at the start where she's got the love hearts coming out of her head when she's looking at Prince Ronald, if that's the part, write that in there. Okay. Then you're going to come up with a title or heading of your description for your alternative character profile. So I've gone with the mean princess. You can change that, doesn't need to be the same, but it just needs to sort of sum up what your character is like. Okay, so you have on sheet 14, the first bit says introductory statement. So you've got to describe what the character is like in the original story. So it says here, what does the character look like? What qualities does she have? How does the character feel? What does she think or say? What does she do? Okay, so you don't need to write all of those things down. It's just a couple of ideas. Okay, so you're going to use your sheet 13 to help you here. So what the character was like in the original story. Okay, in the original story, she is beautiful, she's happy, she's smiling, she's young, she wears a crown, she wears expensive clothes, she lives in a castle, she's brave, etc. So I've given you a little start here, so you could say my character is Princess Elizabeth from the story, The Paper Bag Princess. And then you're going to describe what she looks like in the story. So you might say, in the original story, she was a beautiful, happy, smiling, and young princess. Or you might say, in the original story, she was brave and kind and clever. Okay, up to you. So pause the video and then write in here, write some sentences in about what she was like at the start of the story, in the original story, sorry. And then on the next bit, so you are now writing in here how the character has changed. Okay, so this is your first paragraph. You've got to write about how the character looks now and her qualities, or the thoughts and actions. So if you get stuck here, I would be looking at sheet 11 and seeing how they have written their alternative character description. So borrow some ideas from that. I've given you a little sentence starter here. So my alternative character for Princess Elizabeth is what? I've done a little ellipsis there. So is she cowardly? Is she lonely? Is she bossy? So writing in here how she's changed. So she always has, now explain her appearance. She always has a scowl on her face, or she always has a frown on her face. Okay, Then the next paragraph, you are looking at the events. Choose an event from the original story. Explain how the event would change if the alternative character is used. Okay, so here you would put in here which event you've chosen. So the event I have chosen is at the... Are you changing the event at the beginning of the story or the middle of the story or the end of the story? You write that in yourself. Okay, and then you're going to explain how that event wouldn't happen in your version of the story. So you'd say this wouldn't happen if my Princess Elizabeth was in the story. So for example, if I was changing the end, so the event I have chosen is at the end of the story when Elizabeth saves the prince. This would not happen if my Princess Elizabeth was in the story. Instead of going to see Ronald, she would have let the dragon eat the prince. So you explain how you're changing the event. Okay, so pause the video, write in a couple of sentences there about how you would change your story. And then in the conclusion, you've got to describe how the reader would feel about an alternative character. So not how you would feel, but if someone else came along and read your story, so if mum or dad or your auntie or uncle came along and read your story, what would they think of your character? Would they like them? So you could start it off with, the reader would think Princess Elizabeth is what? Terrible, horrible, awful. So you write in there what you think. So pause the video and write in what the reader would think. Alrighty. Now, back to both year levels, year 1 and year 2, we're going to look at editing. So grab out sheet 15. This is an editing checklist. Very similar to the one that we used last term, but it's got a couple of extra bits on here. So you're going to check that you've got these elements in your story. Okay. So year 1, I don't want you to focus too much on these first 3. I'd just like you to look at noun groups, spelling and punctuation. But year 2, I'd like you to look at all of these. Okay. Alright, so there's a video here on editing. I'll play that one.
In this video, we are going to show you how to edit an alternative character description. This means checking that we have used the correct text structure and selected language features which describe the alternative version of the character. Our description for an alternative character is finished. Our new character is mean, wicked and nasty. She is the opposite to Princess Elizabeth, who was kind and helpful. Now we need to read through our writing to check that it has the correct text structure, simple and compound sentences, expanded noun groups, and correct punctuation. First of all, does it have the text structure of a description? Let's see. It has a title, an introductory statement, a body of text, and a conclusion. Have we used simple sentences? The underlined sentences are simple sentences. They contain a noun, a verb, and a surrounding circumstance. We have used compound sentences. Remember, a compound sentence consists of 2 simple sentences joined by a coordinating conjunction. The compound sentences are highlighted in red with the coordinating conjunctions in green. Have we included expanded noun groups? Yes, the expanded noun groups are highlighted in blue. They contain an article, a, an or the, and 1 or more adjectives describing the noun. Have we used capital letters for proper nouns or the names of people? Yes, we have given Princess Elizabeth and Prince Ronald capital letters when we have written their names. Have we used capital letters and full stops in sentences? Yes. When we read through the story, we can see that the capital letters have been used at the beginning of sentences and full stops at the end. I hope you've enjoyed editing the description with me. Now it is your turn to edit your description.